Okay, welcome to episode 11 of PuckPod by DB Sports, our premier hockey pocket podcast. I'm Brian. As you guys know, I'm here with Christian and David. Yeah, let's get into it. David, how was your week?
It's pretty good. What did I do earlier in the week? Oh, actually, I took. I don't know if I told you guys. Oh, I did. Uh, the Dallas Stars game. That day, I planned it so that I would take. My brother's been asking to go like the movies, to go watch Black Panther. For about a month now. Though I think the movie's been out for like 3 weeks, so he's been asking to go. And I kind of planned it that the Leafs played at 8:30 in Dallas on that day. So I was like, okay, the movie's like close to 3 hours long. There was a showing, I believe it was like 6 o'clock. I think by the time everything got started, it was like 6:20. So I kind of missed. I think I missed like maybe like 10 minutes of the first period, but then I was able to make it home for like the end of the game. So it worked out really well. And we also took my dad out that day. We got like some wheelchair accessible seating. And he's only been out literally a handful of times since the beginning of October, basically. But like now he's starting to get out more. We have like the wheelchair, walker. He's got crutches as well. So now he's kind of feeling a little bit more comfortable to go around. So it's recovery process, right?
Always good to hear. Christian, how was your week?
Yeah, week was pretty good. We'll get into it later. I got to go to my first Leaf game of the year. I was really pumped for that, and it ended up being basically the best game they've played so far. So no complaints there. And outside of that, work, school, that great stuff. I don't know about you guys, but like you guys got to give me your opinions on Christmas music around. Like I've come around on Christmas music. Brian's already he's giving me the death symbol. Wow.
No,
I
man.
didn't really like. I'm telling you, like
Right.
I wasn't big on Christmas music like until I don't know why. First year university, I started studying to all of my fall term exams to Christmas music, and I'm telling you, it's a tradition now, boys. It's a tradition. So I've been doing
Oh,
lots of that, getting in the festive mood, even though it's technically the most stressful time of the year.
Do they wait? Do they
Before we,
play Christmas
yeah,
music
Brian,
where
go
you
ahead.
work? Do they play Christmas music where you work? Yes or no?
No,
That's why.
no
okay.
Christmas music.
Okay, yeah.
That's a big thing because I know
I get
Brian.
that.
I know
Oh,
Brian. It was like said it this year. I sent I went into work December 2nd. Already within like 2 hours, I was like, okay, just turn it off. The Longos mix in years past was there was legitimately Mariah
schedule.
Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You once every hour, like 100%. If you were working an 8-hour shift, you heard that song 8 times. Granted, at least the song is actually pretty catchy. So
It's good
like
like the
that's a
first three
song that
times,
like
bro. It's good like you know.
yeah. There's like oh I
In
will stand by
moderation.
I'm gonna stand by this right now. If you ever put on any of the Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas songs, and or you actually say that you like there genuinely cannot be a person on the earth right now that will say that the Alvin and the the Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas songs are genuinely good pieces of music. Those things are hot garbage. I've never seen their appeal. I went to go watch the movies when I was a kid, never liked them. Like why is that so popular? I don't get it. Oh,
That's a good question. But the question I'm gonna ask myself is, how was my week? My week was good. Typical week. Um, and school work. End of the
how are you
quarter.
doing, Brian? How you actually doing? You don't have to cover up for us.
It's end of the quarter. I'm dying, but it's an okay. end of the
Just okay.
end of the
In the
fiscal
words
year
of
and end
Randy
of the quarter.
Carlisle,
Oh my
just
goodness.
okay.
But yeah, no, it's
Uh,
been you know it's been tough, but we're gonna keep doing our best. New Year's coming up soon, guys.
Mhm.
Also, speaking of New Year's, I just wanted to let everybody know we did extend our our servers for BD Sports for another 2 more years. Dave and I just renewed it. We got a good deal, so we just decided to do it to see if we get our money's worth and actually last 2 years. But fingers crossed, right, guys?
I mean, listen,
Absolutely.
regardless, like even if we only get through 1 year, like it was kind of like relatively close to the original deal that we were on. So
It's true.
say we don't make the second year,
Doesn't
like I
matter.
God willing, we don't even like we get through the 2 years.
That's true.
Yeah, the second year's almost like kind of like
Free.
covered
Yeah. Well, not free.
basically. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah,
another
in
thing I
relative
did.
terms.
Another thing that I did was I actually wrote like a. I actually wrote. I feel like it was pretty good. Actually, it was my USNTDP article. I don't know if you guys took a look at it. But I got a couple of American views. I got one Finnish view, which I thought was kind of weird. But anyway, let's get into our.
You got a scout, Brian.
Yeah. Let's get into our actual first topic. Speaking of US NTDP, Tage Thompson. All right, boys. 5-goal night. I know it happened like a week ago, but we didn't get the chance to cover it. What do you guys think about that? Tage Thompson, 5-goal night.
It really does feel like it was like forever ago because I think it was on the Monday, so the day after we recorded last episode, right? Like I don't have too much to say on it other than like, holy crap, 5-goal game. Tage Thompson and like they were not all identical goals. It's not like the guy. It's just he does score
Couple of
from
them
the
were.
open spot. He does. He's got that OV1T down pat, but he can do it all, man. People are already throwing around comparisons. Like when you hear like, oh, who's Tage Thompson play like? I want you guys take a guess. Like who have you heard the most of? Because I'll tell you guys. Do you guys have a guess or no?
I don't.
I'm gonna
He's
just.
so big. Like
This is from analysts. I'm
he's
saying like
silky
when you
though.
hear a guy on
I want to go
yeah,
off on a
so
limb and say like I don't know Matthews just
I'll go
because of
O'Reilly.
like the frame. O'Reilly's a good
Matthews isn't a
show.
bad one. Matthews isn't a bad one. I've heard like multiple people say Mario Lemieux. Like they're literally doing
Ooh,
that.
that's a.
They're
You know
doing
what?
that, man.
Listen,
Like
listen. It's not unwarranted either. Like their frames. Listen,
yeah,
watch Mario Lemieux highlights. You can't tell me like there's nobody in the NHL that moves like that guy. Like that guy single. He had a. I believe he also had a 5-goal game or where he scored. Or no, sorry, maybe it was a hat trick where he
I think it
scored
was
even.
him.
What is a 5-goal game? I forget what it was.
I
He
think
scored on
so.
every upper like every style of thing. So he got a even strength penalty, even strength power play, shorthanded,
Shorthanded.
penalty shot, and what's the one that I'm missing? Was it an overtime goal?
Might have
Maybe
been it might have been a shootout winner.
maybe a shootout winner, something like that. But he had 5 goals and it was like he scored in like every
Yeah.
like you're never
Each
like
one was a
that's something
different way.
that's yeah that's crazy. The odds for that is insane. Like, but you know what? Like, it's not unwarranted. Like, I get it. You have to, as an analyst, you have to like, you know,
Butter it up a little.
I don't know, butter it up a little bit.
I can
Yeah.
But
see the comparison, but I don't like when analysts do that, like bringing up legend stuff, because there's always the classic example. Oh, Ryan Nugent Hopkins. Who's he most similar to? Do you guys know the answer? This is what he was projected.
I don't.
did they say Gretzky?
Yeah, they did, because his vision or something like
That's
that.
that's
No.
awful.
Yeah.
That is absolutely
So
awful.
that's why I don't like the
He
legends.
legitimately, I think, is the worst of all the first overall picks. I think he is the okay. Granted, Taylor Hall didn't play as long, but I think on talent wise, he might be the worst first overall pick that the Edmonton Oilers had.
Yakupov.
Oh fuck, I
Yeah.
forgot about him.
Yeah. But I mean, we'd have to look at their draft years. Honestly, this was an idea I had. I'm gonna put it out there. We'll make it public, and you guys can hold us to this now. We should do like a redraft. I mean, we talked about this too. We'll do this on NHL 23 because now in NHL 23, you can change the amount of teams in a league. We can do a 4-team league. We'll do us three as GMs, and the fourth team will be AI, and we'll just all draft teams. And we can even do it for the draft year. Like we'll come up with some insane draft idea, and we're gonna put this to the test. We're gonna do a freaking redraft. It'll be incredible. We'll all be GMs. I think that would be a good idea.
That'd actually be kind of fun. We can like
That'd be funny.
live simulate it and stuff like that and see how it goes. That'd be
Yes.
interesting. But
Yeah.
That
So
would be
now
an
it's out
idea.
there.
but a question
Let
I
us
had,
know if you want to see that.
but another question I had for both of you guys actually is Tage Thompson, has he replaced Jack Eichel already?
Uh, just in production, he's surpassed him. Like, I know that's crazy to say. Even just putting aside my 10% prediction on Tage Thompson, 40 goals or whatever, like the guy has been incredible. Because he does it, like I said, he scores in every single way you could possibly want. You want to put him net front, the guy's 6'5", go ahead. he can dangle. He's fast as hell. He's got the shot that's threatening from long range. What else do you want from this guy? I think he's been playing more so. I don't know if has he been playing more on the right wing or center. I think he's been playing a little bit more right
Right
wing.
wing. Yeah. Based on
Yeah.
what I've
Yeah,
seen.
yeah. So I mean, maybe that's the only thing you could ask of him is to be a full time center. But
Who cares?
he
41
moved to wing
points.
last. Oh, I know,
Yeah.
I
No,
know.
yeah.
But
So
like I know like he's insane. I don't know like you that prediction you had, that 10% prediction, was it a 10 or was it a
Mm.
50?
it was the 10. My 50 is terrible, and so is my. Actually, no. You're right. What was it actually?
We'll
It
look
might have
back at it.
been the 10. No,
Was
my
your
Predators.
10? No,
Yeah,
your
yeah. For the no,
10%
it was
was
the
the
Predators.
Preds.
You're right.
Yeah.
So this was your
So
50.
Yeah.
it might have been my 50.
Either
Yeah. So I
way,
guess I didn't
still
go
a good
with.
shot.
Speaking of
I
50.
didn't go with my the Bruins one. I think Brian did that one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I piggybacked on that. I was totally in on Bruins out or Red Wings or Senators in. Yeah.
I might be
Wow.
there's a chance
Tough.
like my 90 was pretty safe. I'm not gonna lie, it was the Ovechkin, but my other two were
Yeah.
not looking too good. It was the Bruins not making the playoffs and Strom hitting 35 goals. But
He can get hot, man. He can get hot.
could possible. But
Once he comes to the Leafs at deadline, he's gonna rack them up.
Yeah, that's another thing, Brian. You never said he had to score 35 with the Caps. So
funny,
it's 35
funny.
all
This is
season.
true.
So
But going back to Tage Thompson, sorry guys. What I wanted to say is in regards to like how everything played out. It's funny how everything worked out. You
Yeah,
know, like Buffalo.
it's incredible. Yeah.
It seems like legitimately last season the Sabres were like the laughing stock of the league. Of the league, you know. Now that laughing
Yeah.
stock of the league is now Arizona, and I don't know. They legitimately have
hey,
a yeah.
watch your tongue there.
Oh yeah, I forgot. And
I'm a big supporter.
yeah. But
Hey man, big win against the Bruins, okay? But
60
go on,
shots,
Brian. Yeah.
baby. There we go.
Yeah.
insane.
Can't shoot if you don't. Can't score if you don't shoot.
But yeah, they legitimately have a number one guy now. And Cristian, your prediction? Mwah, he's already halfway there, and it's only I think 33% into the season now, going into almost
Yeah.
Christmas time. But yeah, very interesting.
I think
I
one
do
thing.
I do Yeah,
Yeah,
go on,
Sorry,
Dave.
Christian.
Go
I
first.
think one thing that might be also important to highlight, like it's not just Tage Thompson there. Like in years
Yeah.
past, it was kind of always it was like the one guy. Like I remember for a long time, it was like Jason Palmerville and guys, basically, right? Like before, like I mean, big thing was it was Jack Eichel and the
bodies.
rest of the team. It was like body, yeah, like warm bodies, right? But now you've got like you know you have Alex Tuck there along with Tage Thompson
Love
on the
talk.
back end. You have my boy, the future Norris winner, Rasmus Dahlin, like and other like it's not even just them, like up and down the team, like it looks like they're starting to gel. And for Sabres fans, I mean, it's been a long time coming, basically, right? Like, I don't think you guys are gonna make the playoffs this year. It's a tough division, but it's definitely last season, like the end of last season into this season's kind of carried over. It's definitely building blocks, and I think it's much needed building blocks for a franchise that's kind of been stuck in the mud for about 10 years. So, you know what? Let's give credit where credit's due. Hats off to the Sabres for making some good finds and good choices with their trades and asset management, basically.
Before I let Christian take over, I
Yeah,
just
Dave.
wanted to say, um, what's his name? I just had it. Dylan Cousins, 27 points, 21 games.
Wow.
Pretty
Yeah.
crazy, right?
No.
Sneaky underrated
And
right
you know what?
there.
He wasn't even in my mind. What I was about to bring up is there's two rookies that are also performing pretty well. JJ Peterka, German player. I think he's got 14 points, which half a point per game for rookie, pretty good. And I think Jack Quinn as well has 16 points. So rookie contributions. We had that early extension in the season for Matthias Samuelson. That guy's a horse. He doesn't put up the points, but he's a horse. Dylan Cousins, we mentioned, that's the point per game player. That's pretty incredible. Jeff Skinner, revival of Jeff Skinner, 32 points right now. I know he got suspended for 3 games. We can maybe go. I hate suspension talk. Like, I don't even know what the play was. I really do hate talking about suspensions. I find it one of the worst topics, honestly. But yeah, to Dave's point, tons and tons of talent on the Sabres team. And yeah, I'll wrap up the Thompson stuff with a proposal that I made to you guys privately, but now we gotta get the audience in on it. The proposal, Brian, is related to you. You know, you guys know that TikTok? This is maybe like a year ago.
You received
Some
this. You
guy.
received that.
No, okay. Well,
Oh,
that's a great one too. No. This this is like a
Brian's
year,
gonna be sitting like
2 years
this,
ago.
like this for the trade talk.
We
yeah.
should all have we should all have to take that picture so that we can send these memes everywhere. Just caps trades these shit. That'd be hilarious. But wrong TikTok. The TikTok I'm thinking of, it's just some guy and he puts on his deep American voice and he's like, you know that feeling when you get to take a shit at your rich friend's house? Well, that's what it's like to sit in the all American Ford F-150. Okay, you guys know that TikTok? I think you guys know that TikTok. That TikTok. You know what
That's
it's
a
like to snipe goals on Canadians at the Olympics? Well, that's what it's like to play on the USNTDP. Actually, no, it wouldn't be US Olympic All American Ford F-150 first line. Okay, Brian? Jason Robertson, Austin Matthews, Tage Thompson. If that isn't the All American Ford F-150 first line for the US Olympic team, I don't know what is. Like, you can even go look at the name, okay? All American, self explanatory. Ford jersey sponsors. Guys, we're getting jersey sponsors at the Olympics. The F stands for fucks given. Okay, we'll do a fucks given per 60. Okay,
fireballs.
it's fireballs per 60, and the answer is 15. That's the 1-5 and 150, and the zero is the answer to the previous question. Fucks given per 60, zero by this line. Okay, Brian, I want no rebuttals to this. This is written in stone now. We need the All American Ford F-150 first line at the next Olympics.
That could be potentially a 120 goal line this season. 160.
Yeah,
Maybe
man.
more.
One,
Who
sorry,
knows?
more potentially, or maybe even one.
We
Yeah,
need all of them to be 50 goal scorers so that the Ford F-150 line can even be like they got to make it done. They got to get it done. It's got to be written in stone.
that would
I'm
be one. That would be
old.
interesting. And could you imagine? They would light up the. They would light up every single Olympic goal. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, I definitely
Hold
do
on,
want
hold
to.
on. I do want to bring up one thing. I before the thing, I did get a little bit of prep done. So 5 goals in a game, remarkable feat. He also scored 4 goals in one period. So
Yeah.
one thing that was brought up was the comparison to another Thompson of the NBA fame. 37 points in a quarter, I would say, is probably the comparable to a 4 goal period. Like 37 points in 12 minutes of basketball is utterly ridiculous. And Clay
Which
Thompson
Thompson
is
did that? Oh, Clay.
Clay Thompson.
Clay,
Dude,
the
you know,
Splash
I had,
brother,
I
right?
had Tristan Thompson in my mind. Oh my god.
No, that guy had 37 ex girlfriends on
Oh
Khloe
my
Kardashian.
god.
So
Yeah, you're right.
so then I also went into other comparables for like a 5 goal game, right?
Lua.
Big one that came to mind. Robert Lewandowski, 5 goals in 9 minutes for Bayern Munich. When
I watched
that
that game live.
happened,
Yeah.
dude, oh
I'm
my
sorry.
god.
What?
Twitter was like on fire that day.
So he
Like,
got subbed on. It was against I
yeah,
believe Wolfsburg, right? It was like
yeah, it
1-1, and
was.
then he just popped up. Just 5 goals in 90 minutes. It
So
was
this isn't
ridiculous.
a Bundesliga game. Like
Yes.
there's
Mhm.
no context behind this game. Is this like a last game of the season? They've got no one. Like how?
No,
Just middle of the
Is
I
it
season.
don't
literally
think it
just?
was.
There's
Yeah.
no
Okay, so I'll give you some
asterisk on this.
context. I'll give you some
Yeah.
context there, Christian. So Wolfsburg at this time, I think now they're kind of bottom. Yeah. But for a long period, for a long stretch, Wolfsburg were like pretty competitive. They were like a top half, kind of making it into the Champions League. So that'd be like fourth place, third place. I don't think this season the season that this record happened, they were like competing for any of that, but they also weren't a bad team necessarily. But it was just like, dude, he came on and was like like man on a mission. Like the highlights for that, like you could watch like the full 9 minutes on YouTube, and like just unbelievable, like crazy, crazy. Like his goals too, world class. Like
Fantastic.
they were all like really, really
He
nice
actually
goals as
did it in
well.
the face of David's favorite player. Do you know who it is? It's Kevin De
Wait,
Bruyne.
was he on that team at this
Yeah,
point?
15-16. And then the year after
That
he
would have
went
been
to
his last year,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
But it was super
Damn,
interesting.
poor.
Yeah,
Which team was he on? Was he on Levi's team, or are you saying he was on the other team?
on the other
He's on
team.
Wolfsburg.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
Yeah,
but
Oh
poor
wow.
guy. So and another thing as well. So another comparable, we have Kobe Bryant's 81 point game against the Raptors. That's ridiculous stat. So then I also did a little bit more research. 5 goals plus in any 5 goal plus games in NHL history has been done 63 times in 105 years by 47 different players. Players like Gretzky did it like 4 times separately, which is unbelievable.
Absurd.
Doesn't surprise me, but uh, guys like Lemieux did it a couple of times. Brian Trottier, he's just passed away, I believe, last year. Another thing to mention, all like single game performance record held by. Does anybody know the answer to that one?
Gagne.
Absolutely. No, okay, but hey, that's the modern one. 8 points for Sam Gagne, but
The
it's
all-time.
Leaf, Brian. Come on,
Yeah.
Oh, Leaf. Oh, Leaf.
give you one
Leaf.
more guess.
I have no idea.
No. Like the Leaf holds the record. Like this is the NHL record. You don't know?
Is it Sundin?
No.
Daryl Sittler.
Oh,
Daryl Sutter. Yeah. So he had 6 goals and 4 assists for 10 points in 1976, I believe. So I don't know if that record's ever going to be. I don't know actually, because you know what? If Sam Gagne put up 4 and 4, man,
He had 8 points, man.
yeah,
Like, oh my God, like Sam Gagne. Like, what the
yeah,
hell?
that's what I mean. Like, it just makes you think like the amount of talent that's in the league. I think at some point, it's like the Gretzky goal record, right? Like everybody was like
Yeah.
for years it was it's untouchable. Well, it's looking like it might be
getting
eclipsed.
close.
Like there's definitely some Gretzky records that are like, okay, that's like 51 straight games with a point, pretty close to being untouchable. But I don't know. Who knows? He only had 6 points this game, Tage Thompson. So and they also
Only
did
6
win.
points.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like they won 9-4.
What
He
a
only
game.
had 6 points. Like even if he had a point for on every single goal, he still wouldn't like. Okay, he would definitely have the modern record, but he's not touching he doesn't have the all-time record. Like how crazy is that to think? So I just I did do a little bit of digging there because I was like, you know
I
what, I
appreciate
wanted
it.
to like bring some comparisons and just to put in a little bit more context. Like
No, it's-
5 goals in a game,
It is an
ridiculous.
insane feat, and you know what? The fact that he put in 5 and his team scored, I believe 9, right, guys? Yeah,
Mhm.
he
Yeah.
had more than half his team's goals. Like that's ridiculous, and you really see something like that in the NHL. Um, before we do move on, I just wanted to say, do you guys remember that game? I just came to my mind just right now, where I think it was the Habs led in 10 goals and lost 10-0. This is like a couple
Yeah,
years.
wasn't that Columbus or
Columbus,
Chicago? I think it
yeah,
was Columbus.
something like that.
Yeah.
But
Didn't
But then
they
it happened
also
again the
then?
next year.
did it
No,
really?
the next week. Did it
Was
not
it?
happen the week after?
And because Montreal scored 10 goals,
Yes.
was it the same year? Yeah.
I swear on my life, it was like a week apart. And it was like around this time as well. Because it was like Christmas break, I think that they did it. I distinctly
Okay.
remember a 10-1 thrashing from the Canadians, I believe. And then they got thrashed 10-0, unless it was the other way around.
So okay, here we go. I've got some stuff here. So most recent 10-goal performance by a team. 2022. So this is the end of last year. Montreal beat Florida 10-2 last year. I don't remember that. It was January, February, March, April 29th. So this is literally like right before playoffs. Pittsburgh. I was thinking about Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh won 11-2 last year. Do we remember that? I don't remember these, man.
Who did they play that game?
Seattle?
Detroit.
Oh,
Detroit. Yeah, I do distinctly remember. I vaguely remember that because it was like around the time of like everybody was on Alex Nedeljkovic for being like a really bad decision.
Yeah.
Really smart decision on Carolina's part in hindsight to kind of let cut loose from him. But wow, damn.
It was a month after Detroit lost 10-7 to us. So Detroit gave up 2 10-goal performances
I watched
in
that
a
game.
matter of a month. And then, oh my God, the one before that. So these are three of the four most recent 10-goal losses.
Detroit.
Detroit has been the losing team. So
That's
Montreal beat
crazy.
Detroit 10-1. So, okay, here's the timeline. So what we were talking about, 2016, Montreal beat. No, this isn't the timeline. Oh my God. There's how many 10-goal performances have there been recently? Okay, finally found the game. Columbus versus Montreal. Columbus wins 10-0 over Montreal in 2016. A month later, Montreal beats Colorado 10-1. This is, I think, the tank year for Colorado.
I think so.
So there's that. Then this is the game I was thinking of. I remembered Chicago beat Pittsburgh 10-1 really early in the season. This was in 2017 that they beat Chicago 10-1. Or Chicago beat Pittsburgh 10-1. And then, as I said, Montreal, Detroit. Lots of 10-goal performances that I barely remember
Yeah.
these, man.
And,
Interesting.
Another
Go
sorry, Brian. One tweet I do remember seeing last year was Detroit, I believe. It was something ridiculous where they had games where they gave up 5 goals, 6 goals. It was like 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals, 7 goals, 8 goals, 9 goals, 10 goals, and they did 4 like 5 or 6 times. It was like 5, 6 or 7 times, 6. Like I think they realistically had more games where they gave up 4 or more goals than they had 3 or less goals. If I'm not
That's
mistaken, it was
absurd, man.
something ridiculous like that. It was like double digits. Like I think they let
Twice.
at least twice. I think oh, there was only twice, right? You were going through that list, but it was like
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
They let in like 9 a couple of times as well. It's like that's ridiculous. Like how? Oh my God, bad,
Yeah.
brutal
it's
goaltending last
crazy
year
too,
from the
guys.
Detroit Red Wings.
And it's crazy too because like, do you guys remember when we were growing up, falling in love with the sport? Like Detroit was like a truck, genuinely.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
It,
And
it, it started to unravel when they played, I think it was Tampa 2 years in a row. This might have been 2014, 15, 2015, 16. And like it was Zetterberg, obviously Datsuk was still there, I think. And your complimentary guys were Tatar and Nyquist. These were like the up and comers. So, yeah, look at these two guys. They're pretty cool. And they just got steamrolled by Tampa 2 years in a row because Tampa's Tampa.
you forgot my
At this
favorite one of the
point, they
three.
weren't this Tampa, but yeah. What is it, Ryan?
You forget my favorite Detroit Red Wing, Justin Ablocator. Ugh.
Oh,
I saw
Yeah,
that guy score live, I'm pretty sure, in Detroit. I hate that guy. I
that's
hate
a
him.
that's a that's actually insane. What are the odds you were in Detroit, and what are the odds Justin Ablocator scores happening in the M1?
he might have had like
I'm
30
pretty
goals in
sure.
his career, dude. I'll be
Yeah,
honest
I'm
with
pretty.
you.
I'm pretty sure this was. Dave, let's see how good our memory is here.
Okay.
So the game was. I'm pretty sure Babcock's first game back in Detroit. It was like the second or third game of the year, and we lost 4-0, if I remember.
This
I'm,
was tank year.
this is tankier. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna look
Okay.
it up.
Oh, Pia
Babcock.
Parento is leading the
Elite
team in
sniper.
goals at this point. Yeah. Oh man. I listen
And
that tank year. I'll be honest with you. I vaguely remember. Like that's like suppressed memories. Like you'll have to like tie me up to a chair and like get like something to extract those memories out. Like I physically can't remember any memories from that season. The only memory I have is Leo Komarov at the All-Star game last year, that year. So
That happened.
he did. I
that
mean,
that did
listen, man.
happen.
21 goal scorer Leo Komarov, man.
Dave, let me ask you this: did you ever give up on the Leafs like you gave up on Man United this season? Because there's been tough there's been tough times, you know.
I would say no, I don't think I've ever given up on them, but I have like supported other teams in the playoffs. If that's like
Okay.
I supported like the
Yeah,
Hawks during their dynasty. Like I was like, yeah, I really like Taves and Kane. You know, Seabrook and Keith were like, you know, those steady defensemen. And I love to watch them play. So I was like, you know what, root for them. And more times than not, when I rooted for them, they won the Stanley Cup. So
That's true.
pretty
And
good odds there.
it's all Dave's fault why Tampa didn't win in 2015-16. Okay, because I was
Sorry,
rooting for
guys.
Tampa. Now I know. Now I know.
Okay. All right.
No, it's good to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you have the stat,
I
yeah.
was right. It was a 4-0. It was a 4-0 L. I was there for that at Joe
Justin
Louis
Applicator.
Arena. Justin, okay, actually, yeah. Let's go into the game sheet. I
But
can't wait to see
what
this.
I was gonna say is like this offseason is not this playoff season is not looking too bright for me, right? So I'm trying to like find other ways that I can still enjoy it without being present for it. But we'll see.
One thing I'll say, Brian, is latch on to a player from another team that you enjoy watching. So like it could be any like for whatever reason. Like it
Tage
doesn't have to be
Thompson.
like it could be a Tage Thompson.
If he
Well, if
gets
he
in,
makes the
yeah.
They're not gonna.
playoffs.
Yeah, they're gonna. No,
Yikes.
they're gonna miss.
But
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna say like I mean listen, Connor McDavid must watch hockey every single
That's a good
time
shout,
he's
actually.
on the ice. So I don't know if that's the way you want to go. Maybe there's a US product you want to watch, like Austin Matthews.
I watch the Leafs playoff games though, like just because when like I hang out with you guys, right, for example, or like if it's on TV. But like I watch out of the 7 games you guys play in the playoff.
Hey,
I'll watch.
Brian, you know
Brian
who?
was here for a win actually last year. Brian was good luck last year. I'm pretty sure you watched the game together. They won.
I went two.
So
Yeah, I think I've watched every single game. Every single game last year I watched, they won because I watched 3 of them last year.
dude, Brian's the missing piece. Send him to the Scotiabank Arena.
Maybe. Anyway,
Brian is our Salt Lake 2002 loony. You ever hear that story where they put a loony
It's in the hockey.
under center ice? We're gonna put Brian under center ice at Scotiabank Arena for the whole playoff run.
Maybe.
Oh man. Right, I have to finish up the Justin Abdelkader thought.
Yeah.
So not only was it a 4-0 L, Justin Abdelkader scored the first goal, the second goal. Dylan Larkin scored the third goal. Justin Abdelkader completed the hat trick. He had a
Wow. That's got to be his only
only.
NHL hat trick, dude. There's no way that guy had more than one.
I would hope not. So yeah,
you know what?
I love Justin Abdelkader. What am I saying? Yeah.
In all fairness to Justin Abdelkader, I believe he had like a couple 20 goals. Like he actually genuinely wasn't awful for a stretch there on the wings. Like he was a good complementary piece, but definitely nothing more than like third line winger. Yeah. So you know what? Fair enough to him.
So I know that like I know we should probably move on, but one last thing on this topic. So you guys have to build a team, okay, an elite American team to make it to win a championship. Who are you taking, Phil Kessel or Abdelkader?
Okay, come on, Brian.
Come
on.
What type of question is that?
All I'm gonna say is that was a thing at one point. If you guys don't remember, 2016.
Chris Kunitz, or I don't know, literally anyone else.
Literally any other Canadian.
That's
Oh man.
Okay, so let's move on from Tage Thompson, Justin Abdelkader, and whatever we just talked about. Let's get into the Tkachuk and Huberdeau trade that happened. Probably one of the biggest trades that I remember. The only comparable trade that rings a bell into my mind was the Taylor Hall for Adam Larson trade. Like that gave me memories of that, if that makes sense. Or actually, I'll even say Weber and Subban. This trade kind of
that's got to be the biggest one.
Yeah. This gave me like memories of that. Like when I saw that trade, both of them, I was like, "What? Holy!" Like it actually happened, right? And let's looking back now, man. Huberdeau, ugh. I love you, Huberdeau, but it's not been too good for you. It's not been a great.
Do you have no faith in him, man? Like, do you think this is like he's not going to be the half a point per game, Brian? Like, what's your level of faith in him getting back to what he was last year?
Oh, like for this season, I think this season's done. I think that he'll be 0.6, 0.7, like 0.6, 0.7 for the rest of the season. This and that. Next season, he just moved. He's
fresh start.
Fresh start. He'll be pointing a game again, but this season I think is a wash for him. If I'm being honest with you guys.
On the other hand, Tkachuk, who has 37 points in his team's first 25 games, that is a Florida Panthers record that Huberdeau set last season, I think, at 31 points. So into injury there.
Wow.
Yeah. So it very like two polar opposites here. And if we got to ask the question about Huberdeau and what we think for this year, what do you guys think for Tkachuk this year? Is the sky the freaking limit for him? Last year, I think he put up 105 points, something around there. But 40 goals, closer to 110, right? 40 goals for sure. Yeah. So I think he does it like he's going to do it again. I think he's on track for that. Did you guys like expect this from Tkachuk? Did you expect him to repeat his last season?
Yeah,
So I
I
did not.
I want to go out on a limb here. I don't know if I told this to Brian, but I know I was talking to somebody at work when the trade went down, and I, hand on my heart, I will never lie to you guys. I said the Florida Panthers won the trade. I have never been a Jonathan Huberdeau fan. I think he's a secondary assist merchant. The amount of secondary assists that guy got, he legitimately got 50, or sorry, I think what do you have, like 70 assists last year?
I think
So
it was like
already
85, man. It was probably about like
85
half of them, right?
because he's not
Half
a
of them
goal
was
scorer.
secondary.
Granted, he's
No.
not a goal scorer. We have somebody on like that we watch regularly who's not a out and out goal scorer. He's a playmaker in Mitch Marner on a 23 game point streak now, just to let everybody know.
that's gonna be a fun topic too if
but
we get into it.
but if you look, like, dude, the guy was putting up a lot of secondary assists, and that's not to discredit secondary assists, but a lot of the time when, like, it's kind of like you're setting up the guy who's setting up the guy, right? So sometimes it is very valuable, right? That's why it's a track stat. But I don't know, for some reason I just think his stats were always a bit inflated playing alongside Sasha Barkov, who I think is fantastic. And I said, you put Tkachuk alongside Sasha Barkov, and he equals, if not betters, his performance with Johnny Gaudreau and Elias Lindholm in Calgary. And listen, man, I am a huge Tkachuk fan. I love that, just his attitude that he brings to the game, his general demeanor on and off the ice, and then like also what he does on the ice. I think is just like such a breath of fresh air, and it's kind of like a callback to older generations of hockey players. There's just something about him that I absolutely love. And I've just never been a Huberdeau guy. So that I wanted to plant my flag on that because I don't think I've ever brought that up on this show or even to you guys. But it is something that I did say. And like I don't have like any proof that I said it before, so it's not like you guys could just take it at my word or not, basically. So
I remember
I
I
don't know.
remember a couple years ago actually I was like dead like set sold on Florida. I thought they were like amazing, and I remember you kept on saying, yeah, but you can't win with Huberdeau. Like Huberdeau is not it. They're not gonna get in the playoffs because Huberdeau, he's not it. And I remember you saying something along the lines of that. But man, like Dave, I think you're like underrating him a little bit.
I listen. I like okay. I'm very like hard on my stances, but I will give him a little bit of leeway. I'm not going to call this guy a certified bum. I just think he's a little bit over, like he was last year. I think definitely overhyped. Like he was getting serious heart looks, and I get it. You're putting up those types of points, but I don't think he was ever in the running there. I'll be honest with you guys.
Interesting. Um,
I
going
don't think it's a terrible take. No, I like Tkachuk as a player more than I do
me too.
Huberdeau. I feel like I like the fit of Huberdeau Barkov in my mind more than I did Tkachuk Barkov. But Barkov does have not only that two-way game offensively, defensively, but within his offensive game, he can be both the playmaker, the distributor, and the finisher. And Tkachuk can do that too. So I think you do get the best of both worlds with that dynamic. I think that's a good point to make. Tkachuk, I did lose a little bit of not my faith in him, but it was tough to see last year in the playoffs. Like he was not a playoff performer last year, which was very surprising because you think he embodies everything that you'd want in a guy in come playoff time, right? So that was surprising to see. Um, I think you can even look at these two players and then also look at their teams this season. They're both kind of in the same spot. I'm kind of wishy-washy on both of them. Like Brian said, how he was sold on Florida. I was sold on Florida last year. Like they were an absolute wagon, just top to bottom depth. Mason Marchment, Sam Bennett, Duclair, unsung heroes in that respect. Sam Reinhart, another one. Carter Verhaeghe. How can I forget Brian's favorite player? Uh,
I
but
actually
Leaf
hate
and
that
legend.
Calgary
guy.
as well.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Puts
Calgary as well,
Uh,
wagon last year, and they're just not like me
mhm.
and Dave just saw Calgary last night. I'm pretty wishy washy on Calgary this year, and if you look at their offensive stats, like there is nobody doing much. I think Lindholm is the leader in points with like 22. So nobody even touching point per game yet. We're at about 28 games for each team in the season. And I really like Lindholm. Kadri had an absolute snipe last night, but I don't necessarily expect
I
him to
was
lead a
expected.
team in scoring. Yes, 100%, 100%. And honestly, like it was beautiful. I had
Yeah.
nothing bad to say about
Listen,
Kadri last night, man.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, like do we want to take the conversation to the teams? Like, let's go with Calgary last night, Dave. Like, what do you make this Calgary team and Daryl Sutter? Like, it's
Ooh,
a contrast from last year to
Wait,
what I saw last
did
night
you
in
yeah.
guys play
Nashville.
Calgary last night?
We played them last
Yeah.
night. We beat them 5-4 in
I
Interesting.
overtime.
mean, they still play Daryl Sutter style of hockey. Like you can't take that away from them. They play tough,
Yeah,
they play hard, they play in your face. I know Daryl was having to go with the Leafs and with the media yesterday night after the game. He was saying something along the lines of like he's like, when I was in my playing days, when I was with Chicago and we'd head up to Toronto, he's like things were a little bit different, kind of implying for all of you that don't know, the I believe the penalty totals yesterday were read 7 for the Flames, and 2 for the Leafs, or maybe 3 for the Leafs. I forget exactly, but
something
there
like
was a
that. Yeah,
genuinely there was a large margin in terms of penalty differential. The first thing I'm going to say to that is I don't know what Daryl Sutter's talking about because
yeah,
dude, legitimately, like you could be wishy-washy on a couple like, cross checks, maybe like a trip. Dude, like high sticking calls that like Matthews took a high sticking call
yeah.
that like he was gushing blood and he had to like stay off on like the bench
That
for
was
like the
so
start of a
stupid,
power
man.
play. I know it
Yeah,
is a rule, so I knew like once you see a little bit of blood, they tell you to get off, which I get, like that's fine. But like, dude, like there was like 3 high sticking calls that were like
yeah,
indisputable, like almost like
absolutely.
drawing blood on like come
And they
on.
missed some too. They missed the
Oh,
Malgin one, right? Like,
that was another thing I was going to bring up. Like if we're going to go in terms of like the penalty differential, dude, it could have been a
yeah,
lot worse for
yeah,
Calgary. There I counted maybe at least potentially like 2 or 3 5-on-3s for the Leafs. Like there was the one that Bunting got sent to the box for. So I will
yeah,
preface this by saying I didn't have the volume on. So I was with some friends for one of my friends' birthdays watching the game, but we also had like the volume off watching. So I don't know exactly like I don't know why Bunting basically like it looked like he got high sticked and then he got up to kind of like fight, and then he got called for
he got in a little
instigating.
tussle after the whistle. Yeah, I don't. But honestly, I don't
That's
even agree with that. That's a call. It was
that's what I
not a
mean.
makeup
That was
call.
a five on
Yeah, like it
three.
was to exactly. It
That
was
was
to
a
avoid
five
a
on
five
three
on three.
call.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like I don't know what the NHL's like what the referees' problems with like calling 2 penalties on the same play. We saw it happen once this year against the Leafs, but like on the top of my head, I've seen countless times where it's like you'll get a call, right? And they have their arms up, and then somebody else will just come with like a cross check, like just a blatant cross check, and the first guy's going to the box. Like, why? What's the standard here? Like, I get you don't want to see like a 5-on-3, you don't want to penalize a team too much, but like, why? Like, I don't get it. If a team is doing stuff to be penalized, why don't we penalize them?
The whole
I don't
point
get
is it's a consequence, and if you enforce the rules, it's supposed to deter the other team from taking those penalties, right? It's
it.
hilarious. It's such ass backwards thinking from the NHL. It's
So
like
backwards.
we can't call too many penalties because then the game's not played at 5-on-5. How about for a month you call every damn penalty as it should be called, and all of a sudden you'll see players aren't taking the same penalties that they would normally. That's kind of how the system's
Like
supposed to work.
I won't sit here and say that the Leafs weren't on the receiving end of some generous
Yeah,
calls there. Like 100%. Like it went both ways last night. I think the officiating was kind of wishy-washy on both ends. It seemed to affect the Flames more, but they were definitely getting hit with more blatant calls than like
They weren't
like, I know,
50-50s. They were just
yeah,
needless
they,
penalties.
the 50-50s weren't going the Flames way. Like the Leafs were definitely getting
Fair. Yeah.
more 50-50 calls, which we saw on what was it, Tuesday night against the Stars. The penalty differential was
Yeah.
7 for the Leafs and 2 for the Dallas Stars.
Also involved the 5-on-3.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
complete, like almost 2-minute 5-on-3 that the Leafs had to kill there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then it's just like with the Daryl Sutter comments, I kind of expected more out of Daryl. I thought he was going to be a little bit more
Yeah.
stoic than kind of, running and crying wolf to the media than he did. Like I had a little bit more faith in you, Daryl. I still like him. Like I actually genuinely respect that guy a lot. Like he's just so
Yeah.
so cool sometimes, but wow, that was it's a little bit telling. Like you could tell some people's, like, I get it, heat of the moment, but man, if
A little bit of a
comments
sore
like,
loser last night.
yeah, if comments like that don't tell you like that the Leafs are the Death Star franchise of the NHL, I don't know what will. Like where you're going to run and cry wolf because what the NHL is helping the Leafs, the team that hasn't won a playoff series in nearly 20 years, that hasn't won a Stanley Cup in nearly 60 years. Oh, they're helping the league? Oh, sorry, they're helping the team? 100%, guys. I want to hear more comments about that.
Yeah, imagine this team without the NHL's help. What are we, 60
man.
years running of finishing last in the league? Like,
Yeah,
Daryl Sutter had the quote of the year last year. Playing against Colorado in the first round is a waste of 8 days. I love that quote. That was a fantastic quote. You know what had the quote of the year this year? I don't know if you guys heard the Tortorella quote about Morgan Frost. Did you guys hear this or not?
The toilet seat one?
What was the quote?
I like that one.
So reporters like something that, like, I don't know what the actual question was, but it was about Morgan Frost and his play. And Tortorella's like, yeah, Morgan's like a toilet seat. He's up and down. Just compare.
Like what?
On live TV. It's not even like it was in the press or anything. Like that was on like intermission. Like Morgan Frost is sitting like in front of him, and he's like, "Yeah, Frosty's like a toilet seat. He's kind of up and down." Like, what, John? What are you talking about right now?
Jeez.
I just realized, Dave, Sutter had a quote about toilets too this year.
Yeah.
Huberdeau,
well, so did Tortorella as well a couple of years ago. I forget exactly what it was, but I don't know what it is. The fascination with toilet humor was it's like interviewing 5-year-old grown men, basically. Right?
Yeah. They asked Sutter, but like, where did Huberdeau go during the period?
That's right.
For 5 minutes. He's like, I think he went to go take a shit. That was it, man. So we realized that maybe I lost a little bit of respect for Sutter last night, but I gained a ton of faith in his comedic performance. Yeah, he's a good comedian, man. That's funny. I got nothing else to add from there other than good game, Flames. I like your jerseys. You guys are cool.
I did have a question for you guys. Who's in that for you guys?
Yeah. It was the Murdog.
Okay.
The Murdog in what was probably his worst performance as a Leaf since his debut, which it's tough to.
I don't even think that was that bad. Like, I don't think his debut, like, it wasn't.
Last night, you're saying?
Or no, I don't think the debut game, like that. Okay, so we have two clear, like, outliers compared to the rest of his season in terms of performance, right? The rest of his season, besides those 2 games, have been, like, actually, like, genuinely fantastic. I have less trouble kind of pinning some of the goals in that first game. Like I remember a Cole Caulfield like snipe. Like he was sent in alone.
It was a bad game by the whole team. Like that was part of the problem.
Defensively,
kind of not left out to dry, but they weren't doing him any favors either. So I get that. I do get. And last year, last game, yesterday night, the team did not let him out to dry. Like the team was playing well,
100%.
but he did have some soft.
He definitely let down at points yesterday night and had to be bailed out. Which, listen, you're gonna Listen, yeah, exactly. If he's
It
gonna
happens.
tandem, with Ilya Samsonov, let's just say, they're at game 26 now, 27. They're under game 30, so they have another
Yeah.
60 something games to go. If those two are gonna tandem, I would expect that both of them are gonna have games where they're not at their level, especially for Murray coming off of a frankly one of the
Fantastic.
best modern game, like statistically one of the best like modern
Yeah.
game performances by a goaltender. I don't know if you saw this stat, Brian. It
Yeah.
was kind of run around Leaf Nation that after the game against Dallas. So the Leafs beat Dallas on Tuesday night. It was a 4-0 shutout. Matt Murray put up. Do you have the exact number, Christian?
It's something like 5.79, bunch of decimals, almost 6 goals saved above average.
So basically, the Leafs would have allowed 6 goals in net if anybody else was in net, if anybody else, and they won
If an
4.
average goaltender was in that.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah. So I know it was tracked, like I think it was Money Puck that put out that stat, and they like since stats like that have been recorded, it's like the all-time like greatest performance for a goaltender, which is ridiculous. So it's kind of like night and
That
day.
stat has been tracked since 2008, by the way. That's when it goes back to. So
Yeah.
pretty big, like 15 years basically. Best shutout, statistical shutout in 15 years.
Wow.
I like that sample size.
I kind of have like a bit of
Minutes.
Murray PTSD. I can't lie to you guys. So whenever I hear him doing well,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh god, like you know
It's
when he was
happening again.
when he was in the dirt at Ottawa, like when he was like a low key, when he lost his spot to Tristan Jarry, I was like, you know what, like it's okay, like as long as Murray's
You
down,
deserve that.
yeah,
Fine.
Penguins are down, Murray's down, you know that's what you get, sinners. But
those two are down. You're up, Brian. Brian's up a million.
but
Oh, yeah.
but now that I see him doing like well, you know, it's I see his name on the back of like the Leafs jersey, and I see that you guys are a decent team now. Well, you guys are actually one of the best teams in the league. I'm like, God damn it, man, he's back.
Listen, I don't want to go forever on Murray. Dave, you have something quick to add?
No, I was just
before
gonna
do
say like
a soliloquy on Murray. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say like quickly like Brian, I think you're seeing a lot more of Murray just because he's playing like with the Leafs. Like
100%.
if he's on I don't know, pick another team, Seattle, let's say, the newest franchise, who actually desperately need goaltending, like Martin Jones.
Oh my god, yeah.
They're like the rest of the team is bailing out Martin Jones basically, and I think it's Grubauer backing him up, or
It's Grubauer. Yeah, we just played them. Yeah.
That's awful.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Seattle, I've never seen so many. Like it's a little bit off topic, but like I've never seen so many Oshie jerseys in my life. Like,
Oh yeah, because
yeah, he's
Spokane,
from,
right?
He's from there, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
But dude,
I had no
like,
idea.
for like as a visiting team, you don't expect a lot of jerseys. Like we expect Ovechkin here and there, Backstrom, like, but man, so many Oshie jerseys. Like wow.
The context is they haven't had a team, right?
Yeah,
They haven't had a team until last year. So if they wanted to watch NHL, they had to adopt a team, right? So I guess Seattle, the state of Washington, cheers for the team in the city of Washington. That's a little funny.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but anyway, yeah, Dave, sorry about that.
Yeah, Dave, finish your part, buddy.
Yeah, no, I think 100% you're seeing a lot more of Murray. Like he would definitely go a little bit more low key if he
Under
was
the radar.
on another team. Yeah, like especially because you saw him in Ottawa, which is more of like a Canadian echo chamber. So like you see a lot more Ottawa stuff than maybe if you were living somewhere else. Like Ottawa's not that great of a team, so it's not like they have a lot of stuff to cover basically. But because we're in Canada, Ottawa has to be covered. It's like it's forced into the Sportsnet contract. You have to cover all 7 teams relatively equally.
Equally.
Well,
you make it seem like it's a bad thing.
Well,
you don't want to hear about Parker Kelly?
I like it.
I literally don't care about the 7. I'll be honest with you. If we could get rid of one of the 7 teams, dude, kick them out. Let them have a little bit more American coverage. I don't want to see them anymore.
Tell it to Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, tell him to buy the Leafs.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway, before we go on, wait, yeah, did you have something? Christian, did you have something?
Okay, yeah, I'll go fast. I'll go fast on Murray.
Mhm.
The thing, like with Murray, so I had this conversation. Like I said, I went to the game on Thursday, and I went with my cousin, and so we're eating dinner before we head out. And my cousin's talking with me and my dad. He's asking my dad, so like, what do you think of Murray? Did you have faith in Murray? And my dad he's a big Leaf fan too, but he is still stuck in some of the old mindsets where it's like, yeah, I always had faith in Murray because he won 2 Stanley Cups, and
Mhm.
that's the basis of his argument. I'm like, oh, I'm just sitting there like, I
He
mean,
won two
okay,
cups.
I mean,
Oh, he won two
this is the
cups.
same guy. This is also the same guy who says, yeah, Leafs are getting Babcock, who he was right on, so I had to take that out. And he's like, and now we're gonna get Stamkos. And I was like, no, it's not happening. So I reminded him of that. My point is, when we look at Murray and what he's doing in Toronto, I probably brought it up before, but I listened to an interview on Sportsnet during the summer. This is after the deal, and it was an interview with Kevin Woodley is the guy's name. He's a big goaltender. He's a former goalie, and he has like a goaltending magazine. Big goalie guy. Holy. So Kevin basically outlined. He's like, yeah, in Murray's time in Pittsburgh when he first got there, part of the reason that it worked is because the NHL was at the latter stages of like we hadn't had this offensive explosion yet. The league was still kind of like at maybe 6 goals per game instead of 7 goals per game, which is what it's probably at now. And in Pittsburgh's 2 cup runs, you look at the defense that they had. Nola Tang in one of the runs, Trevor Daley as the number 1 defenseman, Ron Hainsey as the number 2. It was a systems game that Pittsburgh was playing, and they played it to a T. They made sure to prevent any cross ice chances. None of the passes in their defensive zone were across the ice, forcing the goaltender to move side to side. And they played it to a T, and that works for Murray because he's a positional goalie. Side to side lateral movements aren't his cup of tea, and that's why Murray succeeded. Fast forward after the Pittsburgh Penguins Cup runs, their defense core changes a little bit, and they weren't as good at that system anymore. Murray was exposed. Goes to Ottawa. It was crap. He got there, crap. Extenuating circumstances regarding his family. His father passed away, whatever. He was not a good goalie in his first little stint when he got to Ottawa. Gets injured again, and Woodley made sure to point out when he got injured that second time, he changed his game. He literally changed parts of his game. He was with a trainer, and they basically reformed how he plays goaltending. Remember there was like 2 years in like 2013-14 where the big thing was like goaltenders keeping their heads still. Do you remember that, Dave? Like a Reimer went through this. I don't. It was some weird thing.
Yeah,
Like,
vaguely, yeah.
yeah. There was something where it's like, oh yeah, goalies have to keep their heads still in order to be good now. Maybe Murray went through a little bit of that or something, but the point is he had to physically change his game in Ottawa. And in the last 20 games he played there last season, the stats bear that he was a good goaltender. And that's something we talked about when the trade was made. So, like when people talk about Murray, it's not that he just kind of resurrected his career out of nowhere. He just woke up one morning and said, "Oh my God, I won 2 Stanley Cups," and that was good. Like that isn't what happened. And I just want to give Murray a little bit of credit there for he got injured. Maybe he's still injury prone, but he changed his game.
Yeah, he also gave Brian PTSD.
It's good.
Yeah, dude. I don't
Those
know
are
if
the takeaways,
Brian,
yeah.
Christian. I don't know. This is second episode running where just been watching Brian's reactions when we talk about certain things.
Oh,
I saw Brian physically wince 4 times at the mention of Matt Murray and Stanley Cup. I saw him retract 3 times. Dude.
Those three
crazy.
titles are ours. If Matt Murray doesn't have miracle runs.
Smokes.
No, hear me out. In the sense that whoever won those 3 series, we knew was going to win the cup. 16, 17, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18. Whoever won the series between Washington and Pittsburgh was going to win the cup. It was written in stone. Those were the 2 best teams. They just happened to face each other in second round every single year because of divisions. And Matt Murray stole the show, right? Matt Murray and their stretch passing stole the show. And looking back at now, pardon me?
Big stretch pass team.
Oh yeah, they would just whip the puck from blue.
That's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm happy. But dude, 3 cups would have been nice. Unfortunately, it didn't work like that. But before we go on break,
At least you guys got one. What the hell, dude?
no,
Yeah,
I'm
but
thankful. I'm
this guy's
thankful.
still
I want a
complaining,
playoff
bro.
round, Brian.
I'm
What the?
thankful. I'm thankful. But but before we go on break, I just wanted to ask you guys this: knowing Murray's past experience in the playoffs and knowing his form, in the playoffs, even though he went through that downturn, do you guys feel comfortable going into the playoffs with him as your starter? Yes or no?
Do you want to start?
I feel like the context is like the goaltending of the other team as well. Like if we're going up against Tampa again, like you still give the edge to Tampa without a doubt, right? Like Vasilevsky, give me Vasilevsky every day. But I think a, a battery of Murray Samsonov goes toe to toe right now with the performances by Swayman and Omark. Like Omark's been really good, and Swayman is a young guy. I don't think he has had as good a season, but that's kind of the mold that I want Murray and Samsonov to be in, right? So that's what I'd say. Like, listen, like I said, last night Murray let in some bad goals. That first game of the season, he let in bad goals. And in his good stretch, he maybe let in one or two quote unquote bad goals. And so what I think I'll be looking for is later in the season after trade deadline when the games start to have meaning in terms of playoff positioning, seeding, that type of stuff. Are the bad goals still there? In the games that matter, right? I know regular season, still not playoffs, but we need to see it in an environment closer to playoffs than in game 20 through 28 is what I'd say. For me to say I've got faith in this guy, but it's trending in the right direction. How about you, Dev?
So for me, my thing is show me a good goalie, and I'll show you a team with a good system. We mentioned it
Yeah.
before, Christian. The Pittsburgh Penguins system, their defensive system at least, their defensive schemes, they really enabled Matt. They enabled the best out of Matt Murray, right? So you mentioned that he's kind of changed up his game, but like over the past, I would say last season, even in like you could kind of see glimpses, I think, during the Canadian bubble, but the Leafs have really started really buying into a team defensive
Yeah.
philosophy that's actually been very structured. So I know one of the big talking points throughout Leafland over the past like 5 years is the Leafs need a new defenseman. Well, they could definitely use, we mentioned it before, like a Gavrikov type, like 100%. You always want some reinforcements on the back end, but I genuinely think we have the pieces here already to an extent. Like 100%, you could always add in and improve, but I think a full team buy-in on defense, which we kind of got to see against the Lightning. Like I saw a really good defensive 7 game performance out of the Leafs, who at times were a little bit snake bitten to score against Andre Vasilevsky, reigning Vezina Trophy winner. So I'll say yes. I'm starting. I'm saying I'm in the process of being sold on Matt Murray. I'll be honest with you. I think maybe I'm more sold on Matt Murray at this current point than I was with Jack Campbell last year, because Jack Campbell's last season with Toronto, he had the month of November where he was, I believe it was like a 970 goal, like he was putting up a 970 through the month. It was like 965, something ridiculously crazy.
Yeah.
But every other month, so October and December to April, he was like under 900 basically, right? So a lot of his cracks now are kind of being exposed in a weaker defensive system with the Edmonton Oilers. So I think the Leafs really like have been helping prop up some of their goaltending woes, or their defensive woes at least now for the past couple years. So my answer is I'm starting to be sold on Matt Murray, and I'm also starting to be sold on Ilya Samsonov. If one of them wants to take the reins for the team, by all means, let's see it, basically, right?
Very interesting. I completely forgot. Well, I didn't forget, but like I completely forgot that yeah, Samsonov and Murray are technically competing for like the starting goalie spot. You guys have pretty decent options there, and um, good answers from both of you guys. I expected just yes or no because hours coming up. I gotta use the washroom. But but on that note, yeah, I gotta use the washroom. All right, let's take our break. We'll be back. All right, guys, we're back. Just got back from the washroom. You know, standard procedure here. Anyway, so the way we're gonna start this is Cristian before like our little group chat messaged us, guys, there's a team I'm not sold on. Well, I'll talk about in the pod, and then David and I still don't know like who it is, what team it is, or even what conference it is. So Cristian, take it away. What team are you not sold on?
So these guys were taking some guessing before we just came back right now, and Dave's guess was Florida, and basically I told him no, and I said, but I'm not sold on Florida, and I'm not sold on them to the point that I don't even consider them in the top group of teams. Yeah, I don't know. Florida's kind of middling, especially when you have Ekblad as your number one. Your number two defenseman, I don't know how sustainable this is Brandon Montour, and then your number three is like Gustav Forsling, who are both having pretty good years, like 20 points. I don't know if I trust that. Anyways, here's the teams. I'm going to give you guys the teams that I consider the top echelon of the league, and you guys can take a stab at which one I don't trust. So, you've got New Jersey, you've got Carolina, you've got Boston, Toronto, Tampa, that goddamn death division, the Atlantic. Those are your Eastern teams. And then in the West, honestly, you can throw Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado. I think they're all firmly contenders. And then Vegas is the only one in the Pacific.
My guess is Carolina.
Dave, you got a guess?
Wait, what did you say, Bri?
My guess is Carolina.
I don't know why I thought Winnipeg to start, but like it's not them. They're actually like having a really good year. I don't want to be basic and have the same answer, but yeah, out of all the teams there, it might be Carolina. Yeah. Is it?
You guys are right. Yeah.
You gave it away. Carolina. The way you said it, it's like 10
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was gonna guess right when you said the East. Yeah.
A bit of a twinge.
Fuck, man. Wow.
It was like you looked at all the other teams and you're like, and Carolina.
No, I'm sorry. Carolina was the second team.
Carolina wasn't
like,
last yet. You tipped it the way you said it, though.
Carolina. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. It is Carolina, and listen, the context around my opinion here is the injuries they are suffering right now. Aho is out. That's your top center, so understandable there. And the other guy they've got out that is going to be a big cog later in the season is Pacioretty, who hasn't played a game for them yet. Despite that, and like the record is not what I have questions with. The point is I'm questioning what I think about this team come playoff time once again. This team feels like the new perennial second round exit team to me, right? Last year, did they go to the conference finals last year, or was it another second round exit? Did they play Tampa in the conference finals?
No, didn't they get eliminated in?
They beat Boston.
Yeah.
Oh, the Rangers. Yeah, the Rangers beat them in the second round. Okay.
Yeah.
So, once again, prophecy fulfilled. Perennial second round team, Carolina Hurricanes. And this is a team that I like. Like I've historically liked the Canes until I looked at the roster this year. And we'll do this, like I said, with the context of the injured players. So Seth Jarvis, a player I like, only has 5 goals in 27 games, 13 points. He is in a sophomore slump. Can he turn that around? Yes, but to this point, he hasn't. You have Martin Nikash, who has stepped up. That's a plus because he had a down year last year. Right now, your number one center in place of Sebastian Aho is Paul Stastny on a 1-year deal. Paul Stastny just scored his first goal. I want to say the Canes' last game. He has 7 points in 26 games. Yeah, he's playing 11 minutes a night. Their number 2 center, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, that deal is looking really bad, guys. That deal is not looking too fresh. He is signed to $4.82 million until 2030 and has 6 points in 27 games. Context once again. Paul Stastny. Yeah, Dave, what do you got?
He also only had 29 and 66 last year as well.
Yeah. So this is a step back from that total, honestly. Paul Stastny, as I said, 7 points. That's in 11 minutes of ice time. Kotkaniemi's averaging 15 minutes of ice time, and he's got less points than Stastny. I love Andrei Svechnikov. No qualms with him. Teuvo Teravainen. Do you guys know what Teuvo Teravainen has been doing this season?
No.
Dude, he has no goals on the year.
Yeah. He doesn't have a
Oh
single goal.
my
He
god.
has 8 assists in 17 games.
Wow.
Once again, I like Teravainen, and Teravainen was great in the playoffs last year, I remember. And historically, this guy is almost a point per game player, but something is not right with him. I don't know if it's health related, mentally. He's only played 17 games, so either he's been healthy scratched 10 times, which is hard to believe, or he's missed time due to injury, probably the latter. But something's not right with him there. And they're bottom six. Jordan Martinook is playing third line. To me, he's nothing more than a fourth liner, despite him having boosted offense this year with 14 points in 27 games, half a point per game. That's more than you expect from him. Jordan Stahl is their third line center. Not the biggest fan. Jack Drury, Derek Stepan each have 1 point in 15 and 24 games, respectively, and disrespectfully from my mouth. And Stefan Nason has 12 points in 26 games. Injured forwards are Jesper Fast and Sebastian Aho. I don't like the depth on this team, boys. I much prefer the teams that I saw in past seasons. Just looking at the depth chart, it does not inspire confidence from me. Your third pair is Calvin DeHaan and Jalen Chatfield. Jalen Chatfield has played 27 games. He has 0 points. And the goaltending. The goaltending is Antti Ranta, Frederick Anderson, 2 injury-prone goaltenders. Anderson is on the shelf right now, and in 8 games this year, he's got an .891 save percentage. Antti Ranta also in 9 games, .895. They're being held up by Pyotr Tkachuk, who's played the most games out of any goaltender, and he has a .918 save percentage. What do you guys think about Carolina Hurricanes? Am I out of my mind here, or I don't see how this team takes that next step?
I think that you're. Oh, wait, Dave, if you don't mind, I'm gonna.
Sorry, I know. So I just know that I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Is it Kochekov? Kochekov. Yeah. I know he's in the running for the Calder right now. And good. Also another
I don't
thing,
mind him.
Teuvo Teravainen, he missed close to a month with an upper body injury. From November 10th to December 2nd was when he was cleared again to play. So that's probably a reason for his lack of game time or lack of games played, basically.
So my take on this is actually the way that you explained the points made sense, in the sense that they're not producing offensively, their defense doesn't look too good statistically when it comes to point scoring, and maybe they have 2 injury prone goalies, but if anyone finds who's like the bench, who's behind the bench, it's Rod Brind'Amour.
Yeah.
That guy
I'd make the same argument against me. That's who I point to as a reason against me. I love Rod Brind'Amour too. There's not a guy who can inspire his team more than him. That team, they play a team game. There are no outliers. There's no one being carried on a line. They all play to their identity. I'm more pointing to just the depth. I don't know if Rod Brind'Amour has the horses to get the job done, is I guess my point here. Usually with Carolina, I would point to their depth as part of the reason that I like them. And just this year, for whatever reason, just looking at that third pairing, Brady Shea was on the third pairing when he got traded there 2 years ago. Everyone was confused by that trade because why the hell do you need Brady Shea? They had Dougie Hamilton, Jacob Slavin, Brett Pesce,
Trevor Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, it was Trevor Van Riemsdyk. They had a bunch of guys and everyone's like, this is overkill. Now he's stepped up into a second pairing role, but I guess what you want from a contender is you want to see a team that is overloaded. I'm just not seeing that with the Canes until especially the number 2 center spot. Who's going to step up there? Who's it going to be? Because Paul Stastny, we're not counting on him. We're not counting on Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Aho's your number 1 center. Are you having to put Martin Necas there? And then that takes away some of your offense because then Svechnikov can only play one of those 2 guys. Do you go with the top loaded line with all 3 of your best players? Teravainen, right? That's their top 4, right? So with the Leafs, Martin Tavares, Nylander Matthews. Hurricanes, it's Necas, Svechnikov, Teravainen, Aho. I feel like they're kind of in the same spot as the Leafs where they need they need a 5th guy. Is it Pacioretty? Could be. I would still make the argument there's another one that needs to come because Teravainen hasn't been holding up his end of the deal yet.
Another thing that I wanted to point out specifically with Carolina is um if you guys watch them forecheck, it's like they play
Yeah,
their system clean. It's a 1-2-2 forecheck in the sense that two guys push in hard, but normally when you forecheck, you want to push the guy outwards, right? But they go inwards towards, so the F1, like the first forechecker, covers the board, pushes them around the rink, right? But then all of a sudden you'll see the four guys shift like right away to the left side, like if you're coming in from the right. So that way you kind of cut off all the passing lanes. So that guy has to, I don't know, find a way to pass it through, or like get hit. And then if he gets hit, then
they don't give
obviously
you time and space. They make
exactly.
you have to make a decision quickly, and if you don't, you're either crunched or you've turned over the puck.
But the other thing
Right?
but another interesting thing is that the first forechecker that comes in through the weak side at the beginning, like
Yeah,
he
weak side pressure.
instead of like cutting in towards the center of the net, he chases. If that makes sense.
He'll chase you behind the net. He won't wait in front of the net.
Exactly. So like
Once again, no time and space. They have an infinite motor. There's
and
no break.
if they're doing this in the regular season, if they're buying into that system, every single dump in, every single forecheck, if this is the regular season, what I'm saying is if it's in the playoffs, they're gonna take heads off. I'm sold on the fact that they can.
I
Hmm?
sorry, I have one quick question though.
Yep.
That like listen, I'm not the X's and O's guy on this thing. Like Brian does that like magnificently,
Better than anybody.
and I love better than anybody I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I love that about you, Brian. But that seems quite like taxing on somebody. Do you guys maybe think that this is just kind of burnout, basically? Like if you're Teuvo Teravainen, Sebastian Aho, all the guys that you mentioned above, except for like that we mentioned before, except for Kotkaniemi, even on D as well, like it's pretty taxing. Do you think playing under Rod the Bod maybe is starting to lead to a little bit of burnout? You know, maybe it's a bit quicker burnout than other systems, let's say. You know what I mean?
That's an
I think
interesting
that's
point.
fair.
That's an interesting
Yeah.
point. But Dave, fundamentally, this system's easy to play. One guy dumps it in, the first person into the zone just follows the puck and chases the guy on like from the boards, right? If that makes sense.
I think what Dave's trying to say is like it's not difficult from a tactics mentally standpoint.
Yeah.
It's the physical aspect of like William Nylander on this team, for example. Even William Nylander, who's been amazing this year, like you still see he'll take 2 seconds to drift, even in the defensive zone, even if it's just to catch his breath. Like that doesn't even fly in Carolina. That doesn't exist there.
Yeah.
It's moving your feet all the time. Right, so I think that's
what
Dave's point too.
Brian, I have another good question. I have another like comparable, let's say. Which EPL team plays? Would you say this is a comparable to a Jurgen Klopp Gegenpress kind of style, like that high press, like they're always on you, no time and space? Would you say it's a comparable at least? Because that's one system that I know. In European football terms, it's a very that's a hard system to play. Like actually, like tactically, it's definitely more into the semantics there. But would you say like because that system leads to high burnout rates, and we saw it. I believe it was this year we started to see it with some of the big stars on Liverpool. Like a lot of injuries last year. So would I think that's like my reasoning is like
that's a good comparable. That's actually a very good comparable. Like
100%. Like sometimes it's not the system, and it's like you not the system, but it's like the system's actually not flawed. But if there is gonna be a flaw, it's kind of like the human.
It takes a lot out of you.
Error flaw. Yeah.
That's a good point, actually, and it explains why, like, maybe the offense dried up a little bit because they're so focused on, all right, this is how we're gonna forecheck, this is how we're gonna switch to neutral zone, this is how we're gonna execute X, Y, Z, right? And you know what? Looking at it from that perspective, looking at the Liverpool season that they had, where they didn't perform too hot. Yeah, that's actually that explains a lot actually. So that's actually good insight. Speaking,
Can't wait for a
Hey,
second round series against Carolina where we lose, by the way. The Leafs. They're going to finally
100%.
come out of the first round this year, and my take is going to get destroyed.
that that actually would
Do you
be
imagine?
that'd be full circle. But I
That
know
would be.
I know you went to the Leafs game this week, Christian. How
Yeah,
was it? First one of the year.
I'll keep it. I'll keep it. Yeah, first of the year. I'm trying to think of. Yeah, so I did go. I did go last year, not to a regular season game though. I was at Game 5 of the first round, obviously, which was the last game the Leafs won in the series.
That was
Fantastic.
a
Quite
really
literally,
huge game as well.
it was Dave. I lost my voice. I was up in the 300s despite paying like $600 for 2 tickets. Like
Wow.
I,
No,
I
it's
saved it.
worth it.
No, but I made the decision. I'm like, I'm not going to any regular season games. I'm just saving everything for playoff. I want to go to one playoff game. I'd never been before last year. Don't
Mhm.
regret my decision at all. I was really lucky to go to the game this week. I didn't buy these tickets. My aunt, who is the goat, who's gotten tickets for me and my cousin many times before, came clutch again. And yeah, so I was at the Thursday game with my cousin for his birthday. And quite literally, I want to say it was the best regular season game I've ever attended in Scotiabank Arena. So the asterisk to that is I went to the Centennial Classic back in the Matthews rookie season. Phenomenal experience as well. Game was phenomenal. But this is, in terms of in Scotiabank Arena, I've never seen the Leafs play that well. 5-0 drubbing of the Kings. Now, me and Dave talked about this. I think it was in our first episode of the season. Just about like the Leafs presentation, things we like, don't like. A lot of the talk was about the goal song, which is honestly totally died down in the regular season. It's weird. Like no one. I haven't heard anyone bring it up again. But I was impressed by the game presentation at the Leaf game. These are the things that I don't know. I care about this stuff. It was a very hype experience. Like I was pumped up, and two omissions from usual Leaf games I didn't notice. We didn't have the Leafs Forever video before the pregame. Dave, was it there when you went? It wasn't for me, right? I don't remember seeing it. Maybe I was there too late. But
You're saying the pregame video?
yeah, you know the one that we always quote, the Leafs Forever, the Leafs are
Oh,
champions and will
they
be
don't.
champ. Yeah, that game.
Do they show
I
that
don't know.
during the things anymore? I know. Okay, you know what? I do remember they did at one point, but I think they
Okay.
stopped that. I One thing to note is their little pregame thing. It's like counting back from 100 or something like that. I know they're
Like a big
maybe they're
timer?
going. Is it a timer, something like that, or maybe they're counting up, and it's like number one is like Johnny Bauer making a save, and then I think at 13 or I forget what it was, but I will say for whatever it was, that was pretty cool. I like that. I will say that
Yeah.
was pretty cool. Hmm.
That's one tradition that for me, like I would have been good with that to always have. So I didn't
Hmm.
notice that, but I also got there right before puck drop. Now I think about it, so maybe they did show it. Not answered yet. And no Sweet Caroline in the third period, which I'm a fan of, to be
Yeah.
honest. I'm a
You know
fan of that
what?
though.
Yeah.
I,
I
I
noticed
like
that too
listen.
now that you mention it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we haven't had any Sweet Caroline this year, and I don't know. To me, it's like you can only play it in certain situations. If you're losing, I don't want to hear Sweet Caroline. Shut up with that. Like I don't think we needed that, so I'm happy that that's gone. And so the rest of the music, awesome music. I'm partial to like just some hype EDM when I'm at a Leaf game. And Cale Granton, the DJ, in arena DJ, he hit me with lots of EDM songs that got me pumped up. And so it was an improvement because some of the reasons I didn't totally buy into the Leafs presentation was that it didn't feed into the crowd in terms of getting the crowd pumped up and cheering the Leafs on. A lot of it was just really safe pop choices, or just lots of family friendly stuff.
A lot of Taylor
It's
Swift.
yeah, like it wasn't intimidating enough. And we always point to the Bruins, right? The Bruins playing Sweet Caroline, like I get that that's a very Boston thing, I feel.
That's
Like
a
it just
that's a
fits better,
Boston
right?
song if you've ever heard one. That's a Boston Red Sox
Exactly.
classic. Do you,
Exactly.
quickly to
Yeah.
just sidetrack here? Do you remember
Yeah.
the Jays game from this past year where they absolutely mollywopped them? What was that, like 25
Oh,
to
in
4?
I
in
think it was
Boston.
28-5. I
28
think it
to
was.
28 to 5, exactly.
Yeah,
They played Sweet Caroline, and so I would just
they
I
probably
vividly
play it every
remember
game, right?
they do play it every game.
Yeah,
That's the Boston staple. The Red Sox, especially. I know the Bruins played as well, but Boston
yeah,
Red Sox are known for their Neil Diamond Sweet Caroline. Um, and I just remember, like, dude, they played in that's part of their seventh inning stretch, if I'm not mistaken. So the Jays do okay, Blue Jays, they do Sweet
yeah.
Caroline.
That makes
At
sense.
this point in the game, I believe at least 25 runs were scored on them. But they go to the crowd every time that they play the song, and you still see Red Sox fans, Blue Jays fans had something to cheer about, so they were going loud and proud on the bop bop ba. But even the
Yeah.
Red Sox fans were still going along. Bruins as well. Like anytime that song comes on in Boston, it's like can't miss experience. Like that's a Boston staple if I've ever seen one. Is Sweet Caroline at sporting events.
The difference between Bostonians and Torontonians is Bostonians are used to sport success, and we're not. We're kind of afraid of not afraid of success, but we're on our toes. Leafs have a 4-1 lead.
100%.
We're on our toes in Scotiabank Arena. So my argument is Boston doesn't need hype songs to get them going and feel confident in their team. They simply are. And us Leaf fans, we simply aren't. We need a bit
We're
of a
just so
helping
meek.
hand.
We're
Yes,
so meek
100%.
people. Yeah.
And I've made the argument before. That's something like I've been to Leaf games where I'm just like I'm not up and down every 2 seconds. I'm watching the game. I just want to watch the game. I want to watch the players. I don't get to see them up close this often, so I'm not constantly cheering like it's a soccer game where you have devout sections of fans who there's guys on their drums that aren't even watching the game. Like their job is just to direct the crowd in front of them. That always blows my mind. It's like security guards, how they have to look at the crowd, obviously, right? They're not watching the game. I'm there to watch the game. And yeah, so I was a fan of the music selection more than in past years. I felt like it's more in line what the crowd needs and what the Leafs need, which is just some hyped music. And yeah, the crowd was more lively than usual, I found. But that's the context of the game. It was a 5-0 game. And I was lucky enough to be on the close side where we scored 4 of the 5 goals. Like Mark basically took that slap shot in line with where I was sitting. It was incredible. David
Wow.
Kampf with the snipe. I don't know why. I love David Kampf. You guys know that. And he scored. And I was like, David Kampf. It was great. Pierre Engvall with the Austin Matthews impression. And Nylander just absolutely destroying Quick there. And back to my seats where I was sitting, I made the point to my cousin when we sat down, like, oh my God, I was sitting right under Boreas Salming's banner, and directly in line with Salming's banner
Wow.
on the opposite side of the ice is the space after the 1967 Stanley Cup. I'm like, hey, that's where the 2023 banner is going.
The stars aligned for Cristian that night.
Yeah. I'm not doing the Stanley Cup speech yet, but highly rated my experience. More than usual because honestly, when people ask me like, oh, should I go to a Leaf game or a Raptors game, or when sometimes I go on Jays game, I always say Raptors games are way more enjoyable than Leaf games, just from an entertainment standpoint. Way more involved, way more engaged. Presentation always good, but yeah, kudos to the Leafs. Really enjoyed my experience there.
Would you go again if the ticket prices were under $700 in the playoffs? Sorry, or seven.
I probably will buy tickets to another playoff game if I'm being totally honest. Like, yeah,
Would you
like
would you say that the
that
energy
was
Hmm?
yes. That the energy was worth it. Is that what you're gonna say, Brian?
for
Sorry, I
this
cut you off.
for this game relative to the playoff game, if that makes sense?
I can live without going to regular season games. I'm at the point where unless there's a wholesale change to the roster where I feel like I have to go see this player live once, or there's an opportunity to see a specific opponent like the Oilers, right? That's still something I haven't crossed off a bucket list, being able to see McDavid live. Those are different situations, but to be honest, I can live without going to regular season games. This was a scenario where I didn't pay for my tickets. It was an awesome gift. So that's a very. I'm not gonna turn it down and be like, no, I refuse to go to regular season games.
I've
But
done that before.
I can live without it. Brilliant.
Didn't
Yeah,
you turn
Leaf
down
game,
the
though.
9-2 game?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
turned down the
Nashville.
Nashville 9-2
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Oh my god. So Brian really is the missing piece for real,
Yeah,
man.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh my god.
They would have only lost 5-4 that night.
That's a positive way to look at it. But
Ah man.
interesting. Like, it's been a while since I've been to like any hockey game. To be honest, it's been several years. I haven't been since 14-15, the year that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time
Wow.
because like obviously the team I support's not like local to me, right? So, like I wouldn't just watch like Minnesota versus the Leafs. That is no like draw to me. If that makes sense.
No.
Yeah, but
No.
But even when the Caps come to town, you haven't been?
no, I haven't. I haven't been for a while. But
Hmm.
specifically, with COVID and everything, A and B, like I'm not gonna watch like I said, Leafs versus Minnesota and pay $300 to see that. The
Yeah.
When
fair
Ovechkin
enough.
comes to town, there's also a premium too. Prices have gone through the roof since you guys got good. I don't know if you guys realize that, but relative to when you guys were like
No.
They've
bad,
been high even when we were even when
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
bad, they were still high, but yes, they've
Mhm.
gone up.
yeah, MLC's laughing.
bit.
They they're really enjoying the Raptors winning, A, and B, the Leafs being competitive, right? Those are pockets.
Mhm.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
Like I said, the price tag, I'll still pay it for playoff games, even though it's the damn high price tag. I love that game 5 was incredible, but regular season at the current price point, I could live without it, to be honest.
So
So Christian, sorry, Bri.
I just had one more silly
Um,
question for Christian. Yeah,
Yeah.
Christian, Game 7, Boston. You have 300s, the worst seats in the house, $1,500. You going or you sitting?
Game
First
7,
round?
game 1?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
First round, Game 7 against Boston, $1,500.
They won't be that much. They wouldn't be that
Okay.
much.
Brian.
No,
Holy
no.
Okay.
smokes.
I see to secure those playoff tickets. I buy them like the minute they came out on Ticketmaster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I paid
like
resale.
so,
I
no,
thought
I did
600 was
not. No, that's no man.
Oh.
Nah, bros. 300 a seat, not for a pair, a seat. So no, I wouldn't pay that high a price for game. I mean, for round 1. That's a low bar if we're being honest. But as Leaf fans, it's the pinnacle, right? But no, yeah, I'll probably go to another round 1 game, and then I even said this. This is one of the stupidest things I've ever said last year. I went on a trip around June. It was June 20th, around there, and I looked at the Stanley Cup playoff schedule before we left, and the Stanley Cup could have been awarded while I was on this vacation. So I told my friend who organized the vacation, I'm like, how do I buy Leafs insurance where if they're in the Stanley Cup final, I can fly back to Toronto in time to see them win the Stanley Cup? Which obviously didn't happen last year. But yeah, that tells you how psycho I am. That's all. That's all.
So Christian, we have like in terms of bucket list like items you mentioned
Yeah.
before, you want to see McDavid live in person.
Yeah.
I still have yet to see a Leafs playoff game. Would
Okay.
you trade a Leafs playoff game to? So I was at the game. This would have been the COVID year, the COVID shortened year. It was December 2019 when Connor McDavid put Morgan Riley on stilts.
Oh, I know the story.
Sniped
Yes.
like he turned him inside out, like over the top, like whatever you want to
He
say.
literally
and
put
then-
Morgan Riley on the shelf after that game.
Oh,
like
yeah, he did.
Riley basically admitted he's like, yeah, my knee ain't good.
Yeah,
Because
and
of
then
McDavid.
and then he went shelf on Michael Hutchinson. I was sitting. I was lucked into seats by a former colleague of me and Brian's. I was sitting 4 rows from the ice, and so when he scored, like he scored in front of us, my jaw's already on the floor, and then that game, I was every time they came into the corners, I was chirping Connor, the best player in the league. I was, look, like you're not even. I was like, you're not even that good. Matthews is better.
Even McCabe is faster.
Yeah, It was stupid stuff like that. I was going after
Yeah.
especially James Neal that game because I had him in fantasy and he wasn't producing for me. And I was like,
It was not the real
James,
deal.
step it up. I need some goals, you bum. So stuff like that. And James Neal's on the
Yeah.
ice with McDavid for this goal. And the two of them they came to celebrate. Like he jumped into the boards right in front. I was like, dude, he's Connor McDavid's calling me out right now. I was like, oh my god, I shouldn't have been talking all that smack.
Yeah. Wow. So the question is if I would trade the playoff experience for that moment, right? That's like you
That's
saw
high up there.
like you saw the quintessential McDavid versus Toronto moment. Possibly like because it's Toronto, it's one of the highlights of his career. Wow, that's a tough one, man. I don't I might make that trade considering I know the outcome of last year's playoff game. So that's part of it too. But that's like you're never gonna like. What are the chances? I mean, chances are decent that McDavid comes to Toronto again
A lot
and
higher.
whoops our ass. But I think the answer is Dave. You need to go to a playoff game, and then you can
I think
answer
so
the
too.
question because you'll be the only one who was there for both.
I think
Right?
I think you're right. I
No,
think
he
you're right.
wouldn't because the people that he
Yeah.
was with are our close friends, right? And then knowing those
Yeah.
guys that were around Dave, they probably said some shit too. So
No,
I'm
no,
saying
wait,
though that
wait, Brian, who do
I'm
you
saying
think?
that Dave
Who
would
did?
be the only person. Okay, go.
I don't want to say their names, but the person that gave you tickets worked with us, and the other one is a high school friend of all three of us.
No, but the second one was only me and the first person.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. I was thinking about the Carolina
He
game.
was silent throughout he was pretty quiet throughout the game.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking about the Carolina game.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
The Carolina game, we were getting a bit rowdy too. I was there for the next gen 8-6 game as well. I picked a couple pretty good games. Yeah,
Damn,
those
man.
were in like a month basically. I think they were the same month, if I'm not mistaken. That was the same year.
Yes, yes, it was in the same year. And
The next game would have been before the
that was
right?
was first, and then the McDavid game was like yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Those were two really
so
like
Dave, the Carolina
entertaining
tickets,
games.
the Carolina game, that came from you. The tickets came from you, right? Because I remember you offering
Yeah.
it to me and me denying it, and then you giving it to
Ah,
the coworker.
Yeah. I needed to fill three spots. So I had asked Brian knows like we actually
Don't say their
we
names.
went to
Yeah.
high school with we went to high school with these two people. I'll tell you off camera, Cristian, who I went with, and then our friend from our former colleague from Longos. I forget how I even lucked into. Oh, you know what it was? Okay, so a little backstory on my personal life. So I am a descendant of the Nino Diversa bakery family chain in Woodbridge around Vaughan. Yeah. So the company used to buy or I don't know if they still do. We haven't kept in touch anymore. My mom is. I don't know if you guys heard that, but my mom is screaming right
You're
now.
good, Dave.
You're good, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're okay.
And so they used to get season tickets every year, and that's how I lucked into all four of them because all four of them were up for sale, and then on a word basically passed down, and like all four of them are basically things like I had to pay a certain amount. I forget what it was.
It was $100. I remember exactly. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, because that's
Damn.
you said
Really?
it was 100 or 120. It was a nice round number, and I was like, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm trying to pay $100 to go to that.
Yeah, for you, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Brian, I won't lie to you. You missed out on a good game.
It was 8-6.
Like,
I know.
that was a really entertaining
That
game.
was.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I know that exact day too because I had work myself that day. I had an 8-hour shift, and because it was it was an afternoon game, right? Or
Mhm.
like
Yes, it was
Was
an
it
afternoon.
Yeah,
It was,
It's a
okay.
more of a matinee. Yeah.
Because I took a
I think it
shift.
was maybe a 2 or 3 o'clock, right?
Yes, because
Yeah.
You took Dave's shift.
I know I took another person's shift
Oh, okay.
last minute, and then these guys came in to say hi to me, and they're like, "Oh, you missed out."
And we also went to dinner
it's a sushi
at our
place nearby.
mutually
I-
at our mutually
Yeah, you couldn't even wait for
favorite,
me,
like one of
but
the places that we would go to.
you couldn't wait for me,
Sorry.
but it's okay.
Sorry.
You offered me the
I
tickets.
was
That's
I
why.
wasn't waiting till 10 o'clock to eat, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. I said no to the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's
worked that
okay.
day too, and I remember telling people I just had a feeling that game because I remember the last time we played Carolina in the next gen game. I think we won like 8-1. Like it was an
Yeah.
absurd game.
Yeah.
So where we
They
wore the
smoked them.
Retinas jerseys, they
Hmm.
smoked them. I watched that game in class. This is probably grade 12. I somehow got away with watching it in English class, grade 12. I don't know how, but so I had a feeling that day. I'm like I need to watch this game when I get home. I can't be spoiled. I want to know nothing about it. I told all my coworkers, I'm like, tell me shit about the Leaf game today because I'm going home and I'm watching it. And I watched that on PVR. I was mind blown. I don't know how I went the day without getting spoiled, but it was an absurd game. I'm just fast forwarding
That,
the commercials so fast. I'm like,
yeah.
oh my god, what happens next? What
Oh,
the hell?
that's
What
a
the hell?
great way to watch.
Oh,
Oh man.
it was
If you
good.
could skip
It was real
all
good.
the commercials, dude, that would be fantastic. Like
I was just
I
on
honestly,
nails all day though.
how did you like you had to have like stayed off of like Twitter and Reddit because that Mitch
Yeah,
Marner
yeah.
Spinorama pass was plastered all over NHL advertising for like it's still like every so often you
Yeah.
see that Spinorama pass. Like,
We
wow.
even have a TV in our store. And I told my manager, I'm like, just don't put the Leaf game on. Put on whatever else. I don't want
Wow.
to watch the Leaf game right now. And yeah, that was a real good game.
So speaking about PVR, watching games and rewatching games, I can actually tell you of a great service that you can watch Hockey Night in Canada on, PVR, Fubo
That's a
TV.
great segue, Brian.
Thank
Great
you,
segue,
thank you.
buddy.
I was waiting for that. Fubo TV lets you record, games, even live TV shows, and you can actually watch it. And it's even on the cloud. You have 1,000 hours of service. Comes with your subscription, obviously, and from there you can just cut the commercials. If you missed the game, if you wanna fast forward or look back at anything, it's a pretty cool feature. And you can do it with Premier League games too, Serie A, basically anything on the Fubo TV service. Also, shout out to Razer, shout out to NHL Shop. If you guys are looking for anything for Christmas, that's the place to do it because they'll have great deals. And Christmas is coming up, so you might want to grab somebody something, especially reverse retro stuff that's still on the store, I believe, but probably selling out very quickly. And yeah, I think that's everything. Do you guys want
I
to?
think they also have like some Christmas items in stock on the NHL shop.
Oh,
Like some
100%.
Christmas themed items. So
Yeah.
something for, significant other or, you know, some real important maybe Leaf fan in your life, if you
Well,
want to get them some.
one more thing. So
Yeah.
it is that time of the year. Hockey Fights Cancer Month. NHL Shop. Highly recommend you guys getting some pink merchandise, purple merchandise. It's one of the best stuff that you can get, and it's well designed as well. And yeah, check out our TikToks. Dave's been working really hard on them recently. If you guys haven't noticed, like shout out to Dave. Phone app, grab that. Check out our articles, especially the ones that I write. Those are the best ones. And anything else to say, Christian?
Sir,
Anything else to say? You want
I, I've I
nothing?
think those articles are the best, man.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
all.
All right. All right. We'll close off there. Thank you guys for listening, and that's it.